I sighed as I sat there staring out into the oblivious world. Dark gray skies, complete silence out there. But not in here, not in this hell. This place stinks like old musty clothing and cigarettes. People chatting everywhere, just noise. It gave me a headache.
Lunchtime,
The voice behind me said. I didn't acknowledge him. I was putting papers away in my desk drawer when his voice called.
Lunchtime, sexy?
I turned around to see his eyes staring into my soul. I stood up and hugged him. I'm starved, I said as he took my hand and walked down to the cafeteria. He worked on the floor above mine. We both worked for an advertisement agency. He was an executive administrator and I was a secretary.
So am I still meeting you tonight at the Christmas party?
He asked. Yep, sure am, I said a little too enthusiastically. That night I arrived early to the office party. Only a few people were there at this point. Not really anyone I knew, so I went up to the bar and ordered a drink. The office rented a hotel for our party, so the employees didn't have to drive home if they were drinking. We all had a free room for the night. The party was in the lobby. It was nice. They had a lit fireplace, large sofas for us to sit on, and free drinks, company paid for. After a few sips, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I jumped.
It's only me, babe,
he said as he sat next to me and ordered a drink for both of us. We chatted and had quite a few drinks before heading up to bed. This is where things got strange. Nick and I did the deed. Then I went to take a shower. As I was in the shower for a while, the lights began to flicker off and on. I figured they just needed to be replaced, but all of a sudden I heard a noise in the bathroom. I peeked out of the curtain but saw nothing. I went back to washing my hair when I heard the sound again. It sounded like a child. I quickly finished washing my hair and climbed out of the shower. Hello? I called out. No answer. I went into the room and Nick wasn't there. I assumed he went to get some ice from down the hall, so I searched the room. I heard the girl again. She was crying. I went back to the bathroom and looked into the mirror and saw a little girl standing behind me holding a teddy bear. I jumped and turned around, but no one was there. I ran out of the bathroom. Nick was back at this point with ice in the champagne bucket. I was shaking. Nick, we need to leave this place right now, I panicked.
Calm down,
he said, holding my arms down.
Now tell me what happened.
Well, I saw a girl standing behind me in the mirror. I swear, Nick, it was clear as day.
Babe, you've had too much to drink at this point.
I was getting angry with him for not believing me. I know what I saw. He pulled my arm and pulled me towards the bathroom mirror.
Now is anyone there?
He asked. No, I hesitantly answered. We both sat in bed next to each other. He popped the cork and poured the champagne in our glasses.
To the woman I'm going to marry one day,
he said, holding up his glass. Yes, I said as we clinked glasses. The next morning my head was pounding. I don't remember much else about that night. I was tipsy and passed out. Nick had gone down to get us some coffee. He wasn't hungover at all. Lucky bastard. Ugh, I didn't want to move. I just laid there, hands covering my eyes, wishing I didn't drink so much the night before. That afternoon I drove home. I just wanted a quiet day at home. I laid on the couch and put on the TV. I started to doze off as the TV screen became static. I heard a voice coming from the TV. It sounded like the little girl I heard in the hotel. I froze, staring at the screen as I could see a very faint picture of a little girl's face.
Don't worry, this will all be erased,
she said in almost a whisper. I was horrified. What is going on? The channel then went back to normal. I didn't move. I just sat there, afraid to move, afraid to breathe. This can't be real. This must be one hell of a hangover. Little did I know, I was dead wrong. I was about to learn how real this was. After about 10 minutes, I mustered up the courage to walk upstairs to my bedroom and lay there, curtains closed, very dark. I closed the door and fell into bed. I pulled up my comforter and dozed off. I was woken up about an hour later by the phone ringing. I reached over and grabbed it. It was work. Oh, God. I hope they aren't calling me to come into work today. Hello?
Hello, Rachel?
Have you heard from Nick? Word spread around like wildfire in that place, so everyone knew I was dating Nick. No, why? Well, he was supposed to be in today, and he hasn't shown up, and we've called him and no answer, so we figured he was with you. No, I haven't talked to him since last night, I said. Oh, okay, thanks anyway. She hung up before I could say anything. I became curious, so I tried calling Nick. The phone went straight to voicemail, which means it was dead or turned off. Maybe he's tired. I know I am. I climbed back into bed and slept the rest of the night. The next morning, the sun shone bright in my face. Odd. I don't remember opening the curtains, I thought to myself. I heard a loud banging outside with someone yelling,
Police, open up!
I panicked and ran down the stairs. I opened the door.
Ma'am, we need to ask you some questions. May we come in?
Said an officer at the door. There were two of them. I let them in as I followed and sat in the chair, asking them what this was about.
Where were you last night?
I felt my heart sink. Has something bad happened to Nick? I asked, feeling terrified.
Were you with him last night?
They asked, ignoring my question. I felt a lump in my throat as I croaked out the word yes.
He was reported missing. Co-workers and friends said they haven't seen him since last night. Now, we usually wait 48 hours to report a missing case, but the manager of the company you work for kept harassing us, saying Nick never misses a day of work and never is late. So he felt extremely concerned. Do you remember when Nick left the hotel?
No, honestly, I don't. I don't remember. All I remember was sleeping. Then when I woke, he was already gone. Will you please update me with any news, please? I love him.
Yes, we will call you if we hear any news, ma'am.
He said as he shook my hand.
Thank you for your time, miss.
They said. They walked out and got into their police cars and drove away. I paced the floors worrying about Nick. I tried hard to remember that night. The alcohol stole my memories. I sat in the dark in my kitchen staring at nothing, thinking about Nick. I need to go to his house. I ran out the door into my car. I rushed to his house about 10 miles away. I walked up. Lights were off, newspaper laying on the front lawn, mail hanging out of his mailbox. This isn't like Nick. He's usually very organized. I banged on the front door, nothing. I banged again and again until my hands hurt. Nothing. I took the spare house key I had and looked around. Nothing was out of order. I called his name. Nothing. I called over and over again. Nothing. I began to feel anxious as I searched the house, and there was nothing. I drove home knowing there was nothing I could do at this time. I laid in bed crying with worry over Nick. I was interrupted by a noise, laughter coming from a little girl. I stared at her. She told me Nick was erased. What the hell do you mean? I screamed at her. She said they will all be erased, then disappeared. I didn't know what to do. I walked around my house searching for this child. Where is she coming from? Why is she toying with my emotions? I was confused and terrified. I picked up the phone and called my friend Megan. I told her the whole story. She heavily believes in paranormal things, so she came right over. She came in and searched my house. She said she couldn't feel anything, no energy at all. I was disappointed she couldn't help me. I sat in the kitchen picking at my dinner, feeling a heavy sadness. I called the police, still no news. Megan lived alone. Her parents were both only children, and they died years ago in a tragic accident, so Megan was alone. We always had a good time when we hung out, but this time was different. Megan could tell how upset I was, and it felt awkward. But I didn't want her to leave. I didn't want to be alone that night, and neither did she, so she spent the night. We sat and talked about the old times. We've been friends since high school. I called and left a message that I wouldn't be coming into work the rest of the week. I blamed it on the flu, but it was more the blues. Megan could see how upset I was, and she hugged me and told me everything will be all right, that Nick just probably disappeared for a week to escape the stress of his job. I sighed with sort of a bit of relief at that scenario. Thanks, Megan. You always know what to say. She just smiled and shrugged. We stayed up pretty late that night trying to keep my mind off of Nick. Megan gave me some pills to help me fall asleep. I must have fallen asleep pretty quick because the next day I didn't wake up until noon. I looked and Megan was already gone. She must have slipped out early. I went downstairs to make myself lunch, starving because I haven't eaten much since Nick disappeared. I sat down. I took 2 bites of my sandwich when I heard singing coming from the other room. I jumped up to see if the TV was on. Nothing. I stared around the room. I heard laughter and running. I tried to follow the sounds, but it was everywhere. Laughing and running, laughing and running. Make it stop! My head hurts! The noise stopped. I picked up my phone to see how Megan was doing. No answer. Oh no, not again! Well, it's not turned off because it rang. Maybe she's just in the shower or something. I sighed and sat on the couch to watch TV. I began to feel really upset. No one has heard from Nick in a few weeks now, and Megan hasn't been answering my calls. I didn't call the police because I would feel like an idiot if she was just sitting there ignoring my calls because she's busy. I decided to take a trip out to my parents' house. They lived 2 hours away, so I planned to spend the weekend there. I couldn't take being alone and scared, so I wanted to spend time with them. It was a nice scenic drive in the mountains. They lived away from society. I loved that. They were getting up in their years, mid-60s. Visiting them was always nice. They were always happy to see me and kept me comfy and well-fed. As I went to my bed that night, in my old room, as a child, dolls still on the shelves, stuffed teddy bears on the bed, purple curtains. My parents never changed it, and it was nice, like a trip to the past. I turned out my purple lamp and fell asleep. The moon was bright. I felt a tap on my back. I jumped awake. I saw the child, her face lit up by the moon. I lay there terrified, her climbing on my back to whisper in my ear.
They will all be erased.
Then she disappeared. I didn't want to wake my parents, so I sat there wide awake with fear that night. I must have fallen asleep at some point because I woke up with the sun in my face. I didn't smell breakfast cooking. Maybe they ate already, I thought. I walked downstairs to find the house immaculate and empty. I panicked. I ran everywhere. They weren't there. I walked out front and 2 cop cars pulling up. I panicked. Where are my parents? I screamed. The cops ran up to me and grabbed my arms. What are you doing? They read me my rights and shoved me in the car. What's going on? I asked. They told me a lawyer will be appointed to me. I sat there bawling my eyes out. Why am I being arrested? What did I do? The cops didn't say a word. They yanked my arm and shoved me in a chair. They asked me what I knew, so I told them about the little girl and her telling me she's going to erase everything. Then I heard her laughing. See? Don't you hear her? She won't stop laughing. Make her stop. Please make her stop. I cried. The cops then said, "We found the bodies of Nicholas Brown, Megan Stevenson, and your parents. Your DNA is all over their bodies." "So do you like to torture your victims, Mrs. Frederick?" they asked aggressively. I didn't know what was going on. She said she's erasing them all. She won't stop laughing. She's making me upset. I didn't do this. She framed me. Please believe me. I'm telling you the truth. They had a shrink come and evaluate me to see if I was nuts. They told me I don't need to go to jail. They said they would help the girl stop laughing. Finally, someone believes me. I took his hand and followed him to his car. I sighed as I sat there staring out into the oblivious world. Dark gray skies, complete silence out there, but not in here, not in this hell. This place stinks like old musty clothing and cigarettes. People chatting everywhere, just noise everywhere. It gave me a headache. "Lunchtime," the voice behind me said. I turned around expecting to see Nick smiling at me, but I saw the doctor standing there with my meal tray and my pills. He made me take them in front of him. Little did he know I was pretending to swallow them, but I kept a huge amount of Valium under my mattress. I walked over to my bed with my styrofoam cup in hand. Picked up 30 pills, 10 milligrams each. I swallowed all of them. Then I picked up 30 more pills and swallowed them. I repeated this until I took about 130 of them. I began to feel dizzy. my heart thudding in my chest. I fell onto the floor. My body began twitching all over. Everything was becoming blurry. My heart was beating very slow. Everything became dark